If you've ever scrolled through a list of Famicom games, you've almost definitely encountered Jesus. It's a title that stands out, and for 99% of the people who spot it, they quickly determine it's a sci-fi adventure game of some kind, and that's as far as it goes. But Jesus is a historically significant game. It's one of the best-looking Famicom games at this point in the system's history, and I think it's one of the worst adventure games. Jesus was developed by Chunsoft, makers of some other notable games. The original computer version of Jesus was released in 1987, and this Famicom port seems to have been a short project for Chunsoft to do in between Dragon Quest games. The Famicom version is a bit of a rework. They give the player a comic sidekick, change the structure of the game a bit, and remove the nudity. As an adventure game, Jesus feels like the first real attempt at a cinematic adventure. And what I mean by that is the game's plot is structured as though it was a movie. And the way that you move through it and the actions that you take are scripted like a movie rather than something that a person is playing. And that is an enormous problem for Jesus. The adventure progresses on story beats that occur because that's what would happen on film rather than what you'd actually do. So there's a lot of doing the same action over and over again, because on film that would be building up tension, but it's bad feedback for a game. Jesus also contains one of my least favorite things ever in a Famicom adventure game. At the start of the game, you go into your girlfriend's room, and when you talk to her, you hear this. I hope you remember that, because the last puzzle in the game is playing that song on a keyboard with no references. Now you can hear the song at a couple other points in the game, but it's still around an hour between the previous time that you heard the song and the time that you have to play it. Advancing the game's plot involves a lot of really arbitrary triggers. You looked at this, so now you can do that. And unfortunately, that's what stymied me while I was recording. At this point, the alien is supposed to pop out of a pipe, but it just never shows up. I missed a trigger somewhere, so now I have to explore and poke my nose into everything repeatedly, and eventually some arbitrary action with no connection to this will just make the alien appear here. The Jesus of the title is a space station, and it doesn't even play a significant role in the game. The plot starts there. You're part of a crew of a ship that's going to depart Jesus in order to explore Halley's Comet. And your first task in the game is to go around the station meeting all of your crewmates. And then once you leave Jesus behind, that's it. It doesn't matter anymore. There's actually a sequel to Jesus that was released on computers. It doesn't feature the space station at all. Now, in case you're wondering why they called the space station Jesus, it's actually an acronym. It stands for Julius Experiment Strato United System, so I hope that cleared things up. The plot of the game really kicks off when you return to the ship from a scouting mission, and everybody's dead. There's an alien on board, and it's up to you to stop it before it gets back to Jesus. This is a pretty short adventure game. There might be about 2 to 3 hours of content, and the only thing that will ever really stymie you is when you miss a trigger. Still, if you do need to stop, you can hit select to bring up a password. As a game, Jesus looks really good. Yeah, it's a lot of static screens, but the character designs when they appear are really nice, and there really is a huge variety of environments. The droning music, on the other hand, gets on my nerves really fast. I honestly find Jesus a bit disappointing, because so much technical detail and quality went into making it, but it's wrapped around a mediocre adventure game that's just a bad Alien knockoff. It was very well received at the time, and I can hardly blame them. In 1989, nothing like this had been seen before on the Famicom. It makes other adventure games on the Famicom look downright primitive. But all of that is surface level, and Jesus just winds up being more frustrating than good.